So I'm just working on this tub grinder this evening. We burnt out the main drive belt on it. And then the other drive belt here burnt out and flipped around and took out some bearings and took another belt out up here and then took some electrical out, kind of stripped the wires off and all the grease hoses and everything. So that happened last year. We haven't got around to fixing the damn thing yet. So I brought it into one of our old sheds here and I just pumped a little bit of heat into this building and I finally got the belt on. The bearings changed and she just had to do a little bit of tweaking down here along one of the other drive belts and she should be ready to go. So this brings me to an end of a long day. So at least should be able to get this thing grinding tomorrow. So today I spent the day on MBA business. Spent the day in Carmen, the Manitoba Beekeepers Association. We sat down with the Director of Primary Agriculture within the Department of Agriculture just to talk about a whole bunch of our industry issues. And it was an update progress meeting with them just to continue, our business forward. We talked about the bee inspection program, which we reestablished for this summer. We talked about the diagnostic services that are now available to beekeepers in Manitoba. We talked about Chilean trade with our bee trade. We talked about the knowledge transfer research program. It's basically our tech transfer program that we're trying to get going up here in Manitoba. And we talked a little bit about board governance and just membership enrollment and just strategies how to bring more membership in. So it was a day-long meeting. Another day-long meeting, but an extremely productive meeting. So I'm not going to talk about MBA business here in my blog. It's not the place for it. There's other avenues to be able to convey that information. But just wanted to talk a little bit about my involvement in the MBA and just my ability to be able to sit down and conduct business at this kind of level. It's something I've never imagined I could be able to do. Like 2.5 years ago, I was even having trouble speaking up at, informal sit-around table meetings, as just let alone to think I'd even be able to manage to productively sit with the Director of Primary Agriculture, who's a pretty high-level position in the Department of Agriculture, and sit there and convey our industry needs and, conduct some real solid business. And it's extremely exciting for me, and I'm having an absolute blast doing this. I've come a long ways over the last couple years with being able to convey what I've been wanting to say. I've been doing a lot of work. I've been taking on these speaking engagements and working towards bettering myself on getting comfortable speaking in front of crowds and just conveying my thoughts and such. And I've had a bit of a rule to myself that I try not to say no to anybody who comes to me and asks if I would speak. Because my first instinct is say, no, I'm not going to do that. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I haven't been able to give myself that out. So I've been accepting most within reason. I mean, I got a farm, I got a life I got to look after here. I can't be spending my time on the road speaking at all these associations. But I've been taking on as many as I can just to be able to keep myself talking, keep myself in front of a crowd, and just work to better my own personal ability to convey my thoughts. I've joined a Toastmasters group, which is extremely helpful. I recommend that to anybody who maybe wants to improve their public speaking ability. or maybe just if you don't have a fear of public speaking, just hone yourself, just tune yourself into being able to present better. All to do with the Toastmasters is also, how to chair meetings and parliamentarian procedure and all these strategies we can employ to be able to run more effective meetings, speak in front of people, just how to deal with situations which occur as we speak and as we try to chair meetings, just strategies to be able to deal with these issues, to solve them, to help us overcome the problems. So it's been extremely steep learning curve for me. Not everything I've been doing has been absolutely brilliant, but I seem to be able to stand up in front of people now and convey my thoughts a lot more effectively. And that in turn is enabling myself to involve myself with the association to conduct business like this on behalf of our industry. And that's basically my entire motivation and intention is I have all this built up energy and my dedication towards the industry is tremendous, and I just want to do stuff and get stuff done. And I see a lot of issues with our industry and just problems that are happening. And as I champion agriculture, I'm so frustrated that the beekeeping industry has such a small voice, and we should be playing a much bigger part in this whole picture of sustainability and just moving our industry forward as agriculture moves forward. And just we need to be able to adapt and manage our lands in a more proactive and a sustainable fashion. And I think the beekeeping industry has huge potential in providing voice to this, because we are in fact directly connected to agriculture, and yet we rely so heavily on the natural world. And we need to promote that sustainable effort to be able to keep our business solvent, but at the same time working with agriculture as it progresses to be able to yield our livelihoods on it. So that's kind of where my energy is directed, is kind of my thought process, and it's kind of my motivating factor on doing all this kind of stuff. And my only holdup is my fear of public speaking. So, as I move forward, as I try to improve myself, I'm finding myself able to explore all these different avenues I've never even considered to be able to achieve. And I'm meeting people, I'm traveling the landscape, I'm seeing different ways of beekeeping, which in turn I'm bringing back into my own operation. I'm finding my own business management and the health of my hives and just the prosperity within my own operation is improving. I can see direct response. It takes a lot of time to go out to Prince George or down to Maine or to Wisconsin or Nova Scotia or Saskatchewan. All these speaking engagements I'm participating in. I'm going to conventions, I'm meeting people, I'm mingling with beekeepers, I'm talking about ideas, I'm listening to presentations. All this stuff I'm bringing back to my own operation and tuning my management in absolutely precisely to be able to extract the pure brilliance out of these bees. My hives, we had a tough summer last year with heat. My hives shut down, they went into winter extremely small. I was able to manage my hives to be able to come out of winter alive, small but alive, but without spending any money except for sugar and labor and some medication. I was able to produce a record honey crop on an expanded apiary. It's just a tremendous amount of production coming out of my hives last year, and that's basically because I feel I was able to hone in on exactly what was going on within my apiary and just promote the absolute brilliance, capitalize on all the situations and all the conditions that are out in the environment, respond to them in just the exact precise way to be able to capitalize on the abundance that was out there for a very short time. And then my hives have gone into winter this year after a beautifully long, extended, slow nectar and pollen flow in terrific shape. I've never seen them so consistent and so big, and it really makes me excited to the point where I'm actually considering selling off 200 hives because I'm looking through my winter shed thinking, shit, I am not going to have enough boxes to house the split on all this. What am I going to do with all these bees? So I was actually forcing my hand into extracting more revenue from these bees by having to sell off some of the hives. So I'm yielding this terrific success on mingling with other beekeepers, bringing back ideas, just helping me broaden my perspective a little bit and just making better business decisions here. And I wouldn't be able to achieve that if I wasn't speaking, if I wasn't, pushing myself to the boundaries, kind of like what I do with my bees. I'm pushing their ability to the boundaries and just testing their limits. I'm kind of doing that to myself right now. I'm just kind of testing my own ability, testing myself and how far I can actually push myself to be able to achieve some of this, public speaking events, this interaction with other beekeepers, carrying it forward to the association, sitting down and doing some pretty high level business, association business with pretty high level departmental, departmental personnel. It's just adding so many layers, and it is extremely fun. It is extremely exhausting. I'm tired. We've had a challenging fall on the farm, so we've been pressed in many different directions that we're not used to. We've been working longer hours. We're harvesting longer. We're dealing with situations we're not typically dealing with. So the whole element of stress and just managing a business through these adverse conditions isn't easy. Taking care of my own bee business and then trying to help the rest of the farm conduct their business, but then taking time to be able to get away from the farm. All this is happening. It's extremely hard and it's not easy. And I should be back home working to help the farm along. So it's a tough decision to be able to leave the farm, allow the rest of, my brothers are doing a fine job managing and everything, but we see the struggle, the daily struggle, and it's hard to be able to step away from that and do other things while, there's all this happening at home. But at the same time, we have to, this is the struggle with business, is where to involve yourself, when to pull back, when do you need to be there, and just that balance of communication, making sure everything's on level, and putting that extra effort in where it needs to be, and then being able to step back when you see the opportunity to do that. So basically, I figure I'm following the same narrative, I guess. I base my entire life philosophy on. And that's, just kind of progress, keep moving forward. We have all this, everything's happening, and we can only get it done one step at a time, right? So you just take one step forward and make sure it's the right step forward. Make sure you choose them correctly. And as long as we get everything planned out, we should be able to achieve everything that we want to here and get all the work done and feel good about it at the end of the day. And all this activity, all this work, and all this ambition just energizes me, and I just want to keep going. And that is what I'm doing. So, that's about all I can do on this beast. Tomorrow I'll hitch the tractor onto it and give it a spin and see if it actually works. And then get grinding some straw for these cattle.